Hi everybody, it's me, the non-fictional explainer. So Secret of the Mimic came out, and I liked it. I'm gonna tell you why I liked it. So to be more organized, I'm splitting this video into sections. We're gonna go over 5 key aspects of this game, and I'm gonna tell you my overall opinion on them. These are presentation, audio design, gameplay, performance, and story. So, without further ado, let's begin!
Time to play! No, time to die! Cause I'm not nice! No, I'm not nice! I'll show you in the face till I make you die! Watch me shoot my secret cannon! Put bombs in your belongings! They call me the bomb thief! The way I disperse screen! And I don't like to play by the rules!
Welcome! The show's just begun. There's so much to be done. You want to be here to stay. It's a one-of-a-kind fantasy workshop where you'll quite simply be amazed.
So, let's begin with the presentation. First off, the environment. Everything in the environment looks like it's covered in Dutch, which gives the game this really rustic feel. Unlike Security Breach with its bright colors and shiny floors, everything here feels real. And oftentimes that helps you feel immersed in this world, making you forget you're playing a game in the first place. Something of note, the environment reminds me a lot of Batman Arkham Shadow, a VR game that came out a few months back. And that makes sense, because originally, this game was intended for VR use, but for some reason later down the line, that got cut. However, we can still see some of the remnants of the VR part of the game, but we'll touch on that later. When it comes to the presentation of the animatronics though, I'm Santa Claus, that's where we get to the real baked pizza of this game. The animatronics have this really 1970s early Disneyland look, and I absolutely love it. There are only really 7 base animatronic designs, but each of those designs have multiple color variants, so they never really get old. And because there are only 7, it means that this place is absolutely covered in animatronics. And when paired with the environmental design, they nailed the style they were going for. So overall, I'd say this game has great presentation, aside from the odd visual hiccup of course, but hey, what can you do about that? Alright, so now, we move on to our next section. So now, let's talk about the audio design. So that means we're talking about sound effects, music, and voice acting. So to get an idea of Secret of the Mimic's audio design, here's a clip of me walking around.
Oh, and try to be careful along the way. We are seeing some strange readings in the area. You haven't seen anything unusual yet, have you?
Actually,
Great. Head back to the security office and I'll give you more instructions on what exactly we need you to retrieve for us.
As you've just heard, every sound effect fits, sounds clean, and has the right amount of impact. Another example of this is when the Mimic takes over a suit. It's easily identifiable, and loud enough to always notice. And the music is some of the most peak FNAF music of all time. Yes, better than FNAF World, Sister Location, Pizzeria Sim, and even Security Breach. It tops all of that! Some of my favorite songs include the welcome song you just heard a moment ago, Music Dreamland, and the goodbye song. Also, here's a little musical Easter egg.
Is available for purchase or lease.
You get it? It's a Freddy Fazbear. It's his theme. When it comes to voice acting, I got no complaints. Everyone sounds good. especially Edwin and Fiona. You get a lot out of their performances. Overall, the game has some great sound design, amazing voice acting, and has some of the most peak FNAF music yet. I will die on this hill. I will argue with all of you in the comment section. I will argue. I do not care. I will argue with all of you in the comment section. I believe my point. This music is fucking peak. I believe this music is peak. Now, on to our next section.
I made the mimic. It was difficult to put the pieces together. But unfortunately, something went so wrong. And now I can't do anything but sing this stupid song. My name is Edwin.
When it comes to gameplay, Secret of the Mimic actually shares a lot with Resident Evil with its progression system, and Alien Isolation with its stealth mechanics and main unkillable enemy. Let's start with the tool you'll be using the entire game, the Data Diver. The Data Diver is essentially the fastest wrench from Ruin. This little doohickey opens doors, accesses computers, and downloads mail. Throughout the game, you'll need to upgrade this thing in these upgrade terminals in order to reach master control.
Please tell me I didn't bust this thing again.
To unlock the upgrade, you need to solve this little puzzle. While at first it starts out easy, it gets more tricky as you get later and later into the game.
I found you!
I think we should talk about the Mimic now. The Mimic is the main antagonist of the game. Remember that thing I mentioned earlier about animatronics being everywhere? They're not just for show. The Mimic, at any time, can take over one of these suits and start chasing you. Once it enters the suit, it's gonna roam around until it either switches costume, leaves, or finds you. At that point, it'll start chasing, and this thing can run like goddamn Usain Bolt. The funniest thing is, he wasn't even born yet. So who's mimicking who? So, what can you do? Well, you can't kill the Mimic, that's obvious, and you can't outrun it for long because, remember, animatronic Usain Bolt. So, here are your best options. If you can get out of sight and hide behind a prop or something, it'll eventually lose you, so long as you keep out of sight. Additionally, you can hide in the locker, but don't let him see you do it because he's not that dumb. Vents are also a good way to get away from the Mimic, but it doesn't work 100% of the time. You can also distract the Mimic. There are these cardboard cutouts with buttons on them. You press them to make music and the Mimic comes running. Also, you can find these mice at the beginning of the game. Wind them up and throw them somewhere, Mimic goes running. Might want to note that the aim is a bit shit, so always be careful when throwing them. Alright, let's get into some other stuff. Let's talk about these switches, I'll call them. The first thing you notice when you play Secret of the Mimic is that every action has you moving the mouse to finish it. Want to open a door? Move mouse left. Turn on a generator? Move your mouse back and forth as fast as possible. Flip a lever? Move your mouse down. Control a crane? Actually move the crane with your mouse. These actions are why I believe the game was built for VR. I mean, it's so easy to imagine you physically turning your wrench or flipping a lever or turning a crank. In practice, these actions works pretty well, except the giant claw, which is really janky and becomes very tedious after a while. Another thing to note is this inventory machine. When you collect an item from a gift box, you're supposed to place it in this here machine. This machine then stores it for you. And if you can access another machine, you can always get that object back. It's a good method of making the player aware of the surroundings. If they collect an item, two thoughts always come to their mind. Where's the nearest inventory machine? And do I have enough time to place it there? Which can lead to some tense situations. Alright, puzzle time. Most of the puzzles in game are pretty simple by design. The main one you'll be seeing is this one here, where you'll have to align the pipe so that the electric fluid can flow through. Of course, as you get deeper in the game, this puzzle gets more challenging. For instance, in the Big Top section, you have to solve this pipe puzzle while Big Top slowly crawls forward. And even later, they mix it up by having missing pieces, so you have to look around and connect the pieces and solve the puzzle while the Mimic is wandering around, like this Chica section. And my favorite type of puzzle is when you need a code for a door, and to get that code, you need to pay attention to the camera feed on the monitor as it switches to different numbers. Overall, I'd say the puzzles are simple, yet rewarding. One final gameplay related subject I'd like to talk about is the spring lock suits. During a section of the game, get to the theater, you need an operator suit in order to access the platform. So you go around the warehouse gathering the pieces to build one. Once completed, you can then go inside it, which I believe makes it the first time in an official FNAF game where you can safely control a spring-locked suit. Within these suits, the mimic will not be able to kill you. However, if it sees you going inside the suit, well... These spring-locked suits only show up twice in the entire game. However, that doesn't stop them from being an amazing addition. Let's see, am I forgetting something? Ah, yeah, right, the terminals. In these terminals, you can access logs, check the map, and even play a text adventure called Moon. I'll get more into that later. And one final note, you'll eventually come to one of these areas where you stick your data driver into the machine and wait there for a while. If you couldn't tell, this is an obvious loading screen. Wish they would put in some music though. Alright, and I think that covers it for gameplay. I'd say the gameplay is kind of repetitive, but, good repetitive. It's, enjoyable. Alright, now on to our shortest section yet.
My name is David. Dad, I want some ice cream. David, that is my name. David, I want another. David, where is my ball? I'm running out on the road. There is a car, and this is going to hit me.
Alright, this will be our shortest section yet. As you recall, Security Breach was one of the most unoptimized FNAF games of all time. Constant crashes, huge lag spikes, some people couldn't even launch the game. So, how optimized or unoptimized is Secret of the Mimic? Well, the game actually runs pretty smoothly, most of the time. I only had one crash during one of my 3 playthroughs, and that was because I was literally rushing and going to areas before it even loaded.
It fucking crashed! That's crazy. That's actually crazy. You weren't supposed to. It fucking crashed!
The main issue with the game tends to be just asset loading. There's a lot of popping, which usually leads to a lot of stuttering. And as you can imagine, that also could cause a crash, like what happened to me. Overall, you won't need a fire extinguisher next to your computer, but be ready to play a slideshow every now and then. Alright, with that out of the way, let's move on to our final section. And for our final section, I'm going to cover the story of this game. Now, I'm not going to tell you every single thing that happens, mainly because this is an 8-hour long game, and that would add another 30 minutes to the runtime of this video. So I'll just give you the basic plot synopsis. You're a Phasmid technician, and you're sent to Murray's Costume Manor to retrieve schematics to a prototype endoskeleton, aka the Mimic. And that's really about it. For story, that is. The main hook of this game isn't really the main story, as you can obviously tell. It's rather the story it tells within. Throughout the game, you'll find message logs and audio cassettes and film reels that tell the story of how Edwin Murray eventually created the Mimic and how his company fell apart. And it's a really good story, which is why I recommend you guys play it to find out more. And yeah, that's it. There's not really much else to the story here. Yeah. And I think this is the part where I transition to the final part of the video. So, transition!
My name is Jackie, and I'm fucking Becky. Yeah, cause with my clown power, I am gonna make you scream louder. It's a clown attack, bitch! The circus is coming to town! So sit your ass down and get ready for a clown attack!
These are my final thoughts on Secret of the Mimic. It is, in my opinion, a very good game. It's a very good FNAF game. This game fixes so many issues from Security Breach. You could tell that a lot of love went into making this game. This game for me had the sauce early Steelwood was missing. Instead of being this giant confusing mess that felt rushed and was super buggy like Security Breach, Secret of the Mimic feels polished, straightforward, and well thought out. The team set their expectations, and they reached them. Its gameplay, story, and visuals all kept me hooked to the end. Learning about what happened to Edwin was entertaining, and I got scared so many times. What can make a screen compilation out of me? If you're a fan of FNAF, or you're just looking for a decent horror game to play, I can't recommend this game enough. And with all that said, the links are down below. See you next time, and thanks for watching.